Hi, I'm Dennis Pilon, Associate Professor of Political Science at York University. Over the past decade, people interested in fixing our democracy have often asked, just what would an alternative to our single-member, winner-take-all voting system actually look like? Well, right now, I want to introduce you to one of these concrete alternatives, the Jenkins-inspired MMP model. The Jenkins-inspired MMP model is based on a voting system designed by the British Jenkins Independent Commission on the Voting System. Their recommended voting system was called Alternative Vote Plus, or AV Plus. It combines single-member, winner-take-all ridings with a small pool of top-up seats. AV Plus is considered a semi-proportional voting system at best. Fair Vote Canada has taken the basic structure of the Jenkins model, but increased the proportion of top-up seats that would be available, making the Jenkins-inspired voting system much more proportional. The Jenkins-inspired MMP model would allow you to vote for a local candidate and a regional top-up candidate in an open list. The local candidate would be elected with a preferential ballot, a ballot that allows you to rank candidates according to your preference. The Jenkins Commission liked the preferential ballot for local MPs because it would, quote, enable voters to express second and sometimes third or fourth preferences. However, Jenkins also said that the preferential or ranked ballot as a standalone system, like the alternative vote, would be unacceptable because of the danger that it might increase rather than reduce disproportionality. In other words, on its own, single-member preference voting does not create accurate results in terms of political party voting support and leaves too many voters not contributing to the election of anyone. Thus, for Jenkins, the top-up regions would correct any deficiencies in using a preferential ballot and turn a winner-take-all system into a semi-proportional system. In this Jenkins-inspired MMP model, the number of top-up seats is greater, meaning that the voting system is more proportional. Here's how the Jenkins-inspired MMP voting system would work. Voters would elect 203 local MPs, 135 regional MPs, in a total of 42 different top-up regions. The top-up regions would range in size. This model voting system would not increase the size of Parliament. It would remain the same at 338 MPs. The outcomes of this system would achieve proportional results based on a party's overall vote in any given region. When you add those different regions together, you get a Canada-wide system of proportional representation. However, the small size of the top-up regions would mean that the system would be less than fully proportional. With 2 votes, you can use your first vote to support the local candidate you like best, regardless of party, and then use your second vote to support the party that you want in government. It's the regional vote that determines the party makeup of the legislature. By using this Jenkins-inspired MMP voting system, most voters will be represented by a party they support. And they'll have the option of taking their issues to either their local MP or one of their regional MPs. Using this system will change the dynamic of political competition, creating more incentives for politicians to respond to what voters want. Let's explore the kind of results that we might expect to see with the Jenkins-inspired MMP system in Canada by rerunning the 2011 federal election results in the region of Eastern Ontario. Under our current system, we elect 16 MPs in single-member ridings in this Eastern Ontario region, from Ottawa to Kingston and as far west as Belleville. For the Jenkins-inspired model, we can take the Eastern Ontario region and divide it into 2 regions. It would still have 16 MPs, 8 in each region. Both regions would have 5 local MPs and 3 top-up MPs, giving us a total of 16. Here is what a ballot would look like under the Jenkins-inspired model of MMP for the riding of Ottawa South, a part of our Eastern Ontario region. In the Jenkins model, you have 2 votes. Your first vote helps to elect a local MP. In this ranked ballot system, voters cast ballots for preferred candidates, 1 for their favorite, 2 for their second choice, 3 for their third, and so on, instead of just for one candidate. If no one receives 50% of the number 1 votes, an instant runoff count is done. The last place candidate drops off the ballot and their second choice votes are transferred to the remaining candidates. This process continues until a candidate gains a majority of the votes or there are no more votes left to be transferred. Your second vote helps to elect the regional MP candidate you prefer and is used to top up the local results so that the overall voting support for different political parties is accurately represented. A vote for regional MP candidate counts as a vote for that candidate's party. Thus, the Jenkins-inspired MMP voting method is both personal and proportional. For instance, if you live in Ottawa South, your local vote helps to elect your local MP. The same would be true for voters in the other 4 single-member ridings in Ottawa. Meanwhile, the regional votes cast in all 5 local ridings would contribute to the election of 3 more MPs that would represent the region encompassing all 5 of the local ridings. This simulation is based on the results from the 2011 election. Now keep in mind, when you change the voting system, you change the incentives that affect the kinds of decisions that voters might make. For instance, we know that when every vote counts, voters won't have to worry about splitting the vote or casting a strategic vote. Thus, we should expect that the support for different parties might change. This simulation is based on how people voted in Ottawa in the 2011 election for parties that got more than 3% of the vote. Conservative, 41.5%. Liberals, 31.2%. NDP, 23.2%. Greens, 4.1%. Let's say Ottawa voters elect from the 5 local ridings 2 Conservative MPs, 2 Liberal MPs, and 1 New Democrat MP. To apply our Jenkins-inspired MMP model, we use the votes cast in 2011 to estimate the popular vote support for the different parties. The estimates in a real Jenkins-inspired MMP election would come from the second votes that voters had marked on their ballot for regional representation. In this model example, in addition to the 5 local members elected, voters would have also elected these 3 MPs from their top-up region: 1 Conservative regional MP, 1 Liberal regional MP, and 1 New Democrat regional MP. The Jenkins-inspired MMP model provides local representation that has majority support in its single-member riding, and with regional top-up seats, improves the overall proportionality of the election in terms of matching votes for political parties with representation. However, with such a small number of top-up seats, this voting system tends to aid the larger political parties, but is less helpful to smaller parties trying to break into the system. For instance, the Greens in this region. The Jenkins-inspired mixed-member proportional voting system is one concrete way to create more accurate, democratic results in Canadian elections. Is it the right choice for Canada? Make sure to let Fair Vote Canada know what you think. To find out more about the Jenkins-inspired MMP model, click the links in this video or explore the Fair Vote Canada website. Thank you.